Hey, what's up? What's up? How's everybody doing? It's the end of October. It's Halloween time. Ooh, spooky. I've had enough candy to last me my life. So, but like I promised, we're going over this week Gargoyle Geckos. Gargoyle Geckos specifically, especially because it's like Halloween, Gargoyle, ooh, spooky. I thought that could tie in. If I missed the mark, I'm sorry, I missed the mark. It wasn't a good joke. But Gargoyle Geckos, give me a second. We'll be back bringing them out. So, first up is Reiju. Reiju, named after the Vinsmoke sister from One Piece. Reiju is a red striped female. Right there, you can see she's a female. But Reiju is a red striped female. I've had her almost, I want to say about 2 years now. I picked her up a little bit over a year and a half ago from an NARBC convention, the one that we have out here in Arlington, for Dallas. But Reiju, again, is a red striped female. All right, next up is Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi, obviously another character from One Piece. She's the Fishman princess, but Shirahoshi, as you can obviously tell, you see my little man cut in the back, but as you can obviously tell, she's a little bit different colored. Gargoyle geckos do have different colors, different patternings. There's a variety of morphs that you can buy them in. But again, this is Shirahoshi. She's about a year and a half, maybe a little bit older. She's a little bit younger than what Reiju is. I bought her, again, at another one of the NARBCs. They have some of the dopest morphs. Y'all should check one out. Lastly, my main man, Judge. You can tell he's a man. But, again, another One Piece character. Just like with Reiju from the Vinsmokes, Judge is the daddy of them all. But Judge right here is a male Gargoyle Gecko. Again, males and females, you can obviously tell the difference. Although I did not get this one from one of the NARBCs, I got Judge right here from DFW Reptarium up in Plano in Dallas, Texas. And Judge, I believe he may be about 3 years old, maybe a little older. Judge, when I got him, his tail was already kind of, partially gone. So it was only like a little bitty nub when I got him. And over about the last year, that's about how far back his tail's come. It's come a long way. But Judge is, you can see with his pattern, is way different than what Reiju and Shirahoshi are. He is a reticulated pattern. So as the stripes, go down on the, stripe gargoyles, they also have an alternating pattern called a reticulated pattern. And so Judge is a yellow / kind of orangish reticulated male gargoyle gecko. I love Judge because look at his little horns. His little horns are like huge, man. I wonder if you can breed them to have like huge horns. I wonder if that's a thing, So I'm gonna keep Judge out here with me today. Judge is really calm. He's really cool, super, always collected. He's not real flighty. He's not real jumpy. He's a little bit older than what the other two are, so he doesn't have that real skittish factor going on. So yeah, we're gonna stick with Judge for this. Now, as far as where you can find these wild, their habitat is in the island off of, between Australia and Fiji, New Caledonia. They're in the trees, the brush, the shrubbish, things like that. They're more of an arboreal creature than anything. You'll rarely find them on the ground. You'll find them on the ground. They do burrow and nest and, make their little eggs underground. So that's usually when you'll find them on the ground. But typically you'll find them up in the trees, up in the brushes, things like that, because yeah, they're little bitty like that. So you can't, come on, this wouldn't survive long. Matter of fact, nice little side note is we used to think that these little guys that were critically endangered, they are nocturnal. That eye, that slit, opens and closes, just so they can let light in and out. And I believe they can see in full color through the night. So, but we used to actually think they were kind of going extinct. They're only found in the southern area, I believe, if I did my homework right. They're only found in the southern area of New Caledonia, and they're nocturnal. So again, we used to think they were almost gone, but that's not true. Not true. Now, as far as what they eat, you see, he's being so chill with me. Now, as far as what they eat, all gargoyle geckos live off of a mixed diet. Some people, it depends on who you talk to. I feed mine live feeders about 2 to 3 times a week. Some people say you only do it once a week. Some people say every other week that I've heard. Mine just seem to love live feeders. Always dust, or not always, maybe every other time, if not every 2 to 3 times. Dust with calcium, D3. Always make sure they're getting their vitamins in. But aside from that, aside from the live feeders like dubious, crickets, hornworms very rarely, just because they're real fatty. But waxworms, all that, they love them. But aside from that, Pangea is what I feed them. I like the breeding and growth formula. I haven't been able to find it like that all that lately, but the breeding and growth formula, if not the watermelon or the papaya, work really well with them. They love it. That gets changed out maybe every other day. You can't leave it in there. Gnats get into it. It's not a good situation. Not at all. Now, as far as the care and the upkeep goes for these little guys, you can do a baby or, a juvenile. I would say in a 20, like if you had to, like a 20-gallon or the equivalent of a tub, like a 20-gallon in a tub, I would say that's what you could do. I don't recommend a 20-gallon for, for this animal, just because it needs the height. So I would say if you have a 30 tall, cool, whatever. If you can't, the 20 will suffice for one of them. I have all three of mine in one of the big and tall long enclosures, one of the arboreals, one of the big 36 by 36 by like 18. And so that, that bitch tall and that bitch long. So there's never an issue with them needing to find places to hide, needing to get away from one another, anything like that. So they can grow probably 7 to 9 inches, just varies on, gargoyle to gargoyle. There are some outliers. There are some that are going to be bigger, some that are going to be smaller. Not every gargoyle gecko is the same. You know what I mean? So they grow anywhere from 7 to 9 inches tall. And with proper care, they can live 15, 20, maybe a little bit longer. But they are a long-lived animal for such a little bitty guy. Just like I do, you can keep more than one in an enclosure. The more you keep, the bigger the enclosure. So let's just get this straight. You're not going to keep like 10 of these in the one that I have my 3 in. Is just not doable. It's not possible. They're going to fight. They're going to hurt each other, whatever. And you can never, I would never keep more than one male to any of your females. And that's asking for you to come back to one less gargoyle. As far as temperature, heating, and all that goes, I believe you can get away with a heat lamp. I don't use a heat lamp. I use a heat pad, or, you can use the heat tape with the thermostat. You don't want to overheat these guys. These guys don't like it horribly hot like that. 82 to 85 is a good range. I believe you go over like 87, 89, like that's detrimental to them. Nighttime temperatures can, not plummet, but they can get down to like 75. I wouldn't suggest anything under 72, but these guys live in a nice environment. It's a nice, maintainable, enclosure, temperature for an enclosure. They do like humidity, so you will want to make sure you're misting regularly if you don't have a misting system going. I happen to have to mist like every other day or every day. It just depends on the environment and how hot or how dry, how cool or cold it gets here in Texas. But for the most part, I can mist maybe once every other, if not every other 3 days, and they do just fine with their humidity in their enclosure. So some of the last little notes about these little guys. See, this little guy is great, man. I love him. He sat here through all these little takes with me, not putting up a fuss, not putting up a fight. I love this little guy. They're so chill, man. But some of the last little notes. So in the wild, they will generally, just like this little guy had done, generally they will drop their tails in the wild. They are not a slow moving gecko, but they can be slower than what a crested gecko is. So they're just not real flighty like what I believe crested geckos are. Other people are going to disagree with me. If you disagree with me, tomato, we can agree to disagree. But they will generally lose their tail in the wild. Good part about these guys is, just like you see, unlike crested geckos, they will regenerate that tail and they will be able to use that tail. So this little guy, I don't know if you can see it, but he does have a little pad right there on the tip of his tail. They do use it. And so that tail is fully functional once it starts to grow back. So if you're just starting out, I would suggest babies. I would suggest put them in their tub, put them in their enclosure, leave them there for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. You want to let them get accustomed to their enclosure and the new surroundings, especially after they've been shipped or you bought them somewhere and they've traveled. You don't know how many people have picked up containers and done all kinds of things. You don't know how the box has been flipped and rolled during transport. So first week to 2 weeks, I would say just kind of leave them alone. Don't bother with them. Make sure the enclosure and everything is good for them. But I would say leave them alone. After that, about week to 2 weeks. Babies or juveniles, if you can get the baby, in a handleable position, I would say nothing longer than maybe 10, 15 minutes. When they get adults, like this little guy is, you can do probably, 20, like I've had this guy out this whole time. My house's humidity and the temperature in here isn't, vastly different because this is where I keep a lot of the animals. And so you can keep them out anywhere 20, even 30 minutes or so like that. I wouldn't suggest just leave them out, to wander the house, but they can be out for a nice little while for you to, enjoy. And it's, for your entertainment. So you can have these out for a nice little while to enjoy. You're going to have to work up to that time. It's not like as a baby, you're getting that sucker out for like 30 minutes. No, it's going to have to be in incremental steps. They are, sensitive. That's what I'm going to say. And I don't know how much is necessarily going on up in that little noggin of theirs, but it's not going to be an overnight thing. You're going to have to work up to having them out for that, half an hour time frame. And as an adult, you can do that. As a baby or a juvenile, I wouldn't suggest leaving them out that long. That's just my opinion. Second to last thing is if you're thinking about breeding, nothing under 60 at the lowest, 70 grams is, a safe bet, but nothing under 60, 70 grams. You want them about 2 years old, maybe a little bit younger is okay. It just depends on how big they are, how much they weigh at the time. But again, you're probably going to go by weight more than you are the actual age of the animal, because like if you put a male in there with a female that's still a year, he's still going to attempt it, but it's not going to be pretty. It's probably not going to go over well. It may go over well, it may not, but there's no guarantee that female is going to be able to pass the eggs. She's no guaranteeing it's not going to, get the other one sick, or, you're not going to have to take it to the vet or anything like that. So 60 to 70 grams is, kind of rule of thumb that I've, kind of encountered from people. So last little bit about my favorite little species of gecko, the gargoyles. I gotta be smart in this video, all right? And I had to write it down because I couldn't pronunciate it like off the top of my head. But Rhacodactylus ericulatus. I believe that is, like, I probably butchered the hell out of that pronunciation. That's like every fucking keeper on here is probably like, that's horrible. He sounds just stupid. But that Latin name, that scientific name, is how they are classified. And what it means is, I believe, knob-headed. So, boop, boop, knob-headed gecko. So that is what that means. My little knob-headed geckos. And so it's been cool. It's been fun. Great talking to y'all about gargoyle geckos, but I'll see y'all next time. I don't know what we're coming up with next time, but we're introducing something not so wiggly next time. I'll see y'all next time.